What we can do is we can choose the seat to fit the rider, we can choose the panel to fit the horse, and we can choose the flap to fit both the rider and the discipline. And then we bolt it all together and we have a saddle that can fit rider, horse and discipline with no compromise. Now, what makes each individual bit unique? The tree has got a head plate system. So this is a head plate. And the head plate fits in this groove here. So we can fit as narrow as that or as wide as that. We have 2 stirrup bar positions for personal preference, and the tree is rigid front to back. So if I pull as hard as I can like that, it's rigid, there's no movement. Now, inside the tree, there's a Y bar, carbon fibre Y bar, and it goes down through there, and it stops there. So with the head plate in place here, we're rigid across there. But what happens is, we have a point here that's not rigid, and it moves, flexible at the twist, so we have lateral flexion. Okay? There are no points on this tree. Your panel. Now, this is your panel, this is the bit that goes on the horse's back. Inside the panel there are 2 airbags, one in the front, one in the back. This is the airbag. And the airbag can be inflated. So I can pump this up. Why would I want to do that? Okay, and you can see that it's all nicely shaped and tailored and contoured. If you have a rider with a dropped hip, or you have a horse that's got muscle imbalance and that's causing the rider to ride like this, you can pump that side of the body up. And by pumping that side of the saddle up, it gets the rider riding straight. If the rider's riding straight, then the horse will develop straight, more balanced muscles. Now, the saddle fits on the horse and the girth straps go over the top of this panel, and as the girth is tightened, it snugs the panel into the horse's back. So as the horse puts on weight or loses weight, that adjusts accordingly. And these are nice and bendy and flexible, so they fit well on the horse's back. Now this is the tree, the seat, with the panels attached. As the girth tightens up, it snugs everything in. Now with a traditional saddle and the points, which would sit about there, you need to be able to leave a gap, a space, for the horse's shoulder to be able to move. Okay, so that means that from that point forwards there's no bearing surface. So a traditional saddle, you only get the bearing surface from there backwards. But because we have a tree that is flexible at the twist, we can snug that into the horse's back and we can get a bearing surface across the whole length of the panel. So the bearing surface is bigger than a Western saddle. So the easiest way to describe this is if you just look at my hand, if that's the shoulder and this part of my hand is the saddle, a traditional saddle, there needs to be a gap to allow the shoulder to move around underneath it. The wow, it wraps around and it moves with it. The third part of the equation is the flap. And the flap houses the girthing system. So as you can see, the girth goes down, up to there, across and up to there. It's called the double wishbone girthing system. So when you tighten up your girth straps, it pulls down across the whole width of the flap rather than just down the centre. So if this was on the horse, turning it around like that, and that was in place, it would be there, then the pull down would be across that entire length of the saddle. Now, something that you can do here, this is called a point strap, and these all go inside the flap here. If you have got a horse that's got a forward girth groove, so this is the head of the horse here by this hand. If the girth straps land here, but the girth groove is here, then what will happen is the horse will slide the saddle up its neck to put the girth straps in its girth groove. What we do here is we take this point strap, we attach it, and we move the girth strap into the girth groove without moving the saddle. We also have bits of equipment that can put the girth straps further backwards or much further forwards. The WOW has what we call an anatomical seat design. So there's two aspects to this. The first one is, if you can see that this has got a cutaway here, it's got a hollow here. This part of your leg is called the adductor muscle, and it's a very round muscle. And when you exercise the muscle, it goes hard. Just think of doing a bicep curl and it's gone hard. So what happens is, in a traditional saddle, there's a skirt that comes down and it goes across there, and there is no room for this muscle. So as your muscles go hard, it hits this skirt and it actually pushes you up out of the saddle. A little bit like squeezing a bar of soap and it popping up. With this, you have a hollow there, and the muscle goes into that hollow and it actually draws you down into the saddle, making it a lot more secure. So when your security comes from there, you don't need a big high cantle to wedge you into the saddle. So the second part of the anatomical seat design is this high centre point here on the twist, and a very narrow high twist. So your average horse kind of is a bit round shaped, and if you look at the average human, they're V shaped. So by making the saddle design with this high narrow point here, you actually are making the horse the same shape as you. So what it looks like when you sit on it, when you see it, it looks like it's really high up off the horse's back, but when you sit on it, it allows you to sit into the horse rather than sat on top of it and being pushed out. Now the other thing that makes the WOW especially awesome in my book, I can have a wide channel because that comes from the panel design, and a narrow head plate. So don't forget, this is the head plate, okay? A wide head plate sits the panels, and this is an exaggeration, a wide head plate sits the panels down, low down the horse's shoulder. A narrow head plate sits them much higher. And all the head plate does is move where the panel sits on the horse. Okay, so if you've got a wide horse that needs a wide channel down the centre, but a narrow head plate to lift the front of the saddle up so you have a balanced seat, that's how you do it. And there is no other saddle on the markets that can do this. So that is just a wide gullet. You can also go extra wide. I could take that off and put my dressage flap on. It would basically look like that, and I've just converted my saddle into a dressage saddle. That is the WOW saddle.